That is to say that I spent 60% of my time in court listening to divorce cases, listening to child custody cases, listening to legitimation cases.
Let me bring to the stage 8-time Emmy Award-winning journalist, co-founder of Newsmakers Live and the Newsmakers Journal, my partner and friend, Mr. Maynard Eaton.
It's an honor. It truly is. Here's your microphone.
I'm sorry it took this long. I really.
You're important.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I had the pleasure of being in the room, in the chamber, when you were introduced, signed on, sworn in as the new youngest female black Chief Justice. It was a monumental moment for me. What was it like for you? And in the House was Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas.
Right. Oh, gosh, that was June 24th, 2005 now, and it was a surreal moment. I was appointed to the court by Governor Zell Miller in 1992, and it was a struggle. You know, when I came on the court, I was 36 years old. I think the average age of the judges, I was the only woman on the court at that time. The average ages of the judges was 62, 63, when I thought 62 or 63 was quite old. As I get older, I now know better.
I understand.
Yeah, but at 36, it was a different story. And, I had had opposition each time I ran the court. So it was not an easy thing getting up to be the Chief Justice. So the day I drove in to be Chief was rather surreal. I wondered if I deserved it, had I earned it, and then something said in my mind that God makes no mistakes. You're going to get to what you have to do.
You had, though, in the House, a fellow Savannah native, Judge Clarence Thomas,
yes,
who caused somewhat of a controversy by being there.
That's correct.
And people wondered, were your political leanings similar? Do you judge the same way? Are you in much the same ilk as Clarence Thomas?
See, I don't choose my friends based on, maybe I should, but I don't choose my friends based on their ideology. And, judges are really not supposed to work like that. We're not politicians.
You're not really?
We are really not politicians. I know it's hard to believe. I will say that there is a case occasionally where you might feel some political pressure, and it's not politics like Democrat, Republican, but you feel the pressure of the crowds. But remember, most of our cases are zoning cases, foreclosures, criminal cases, and so we're just really not sitting around trying to take the whiff of public opinion.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. As I recall, you went through a major political battle to win your seat again as Justice, or was it for Chief Justice, and you waged much of that battle against some of the Purdue forces.
That's correct.
That's politics.
Well, it is. And so, I'm not going to say, to get on the court and to stay on, it's a complex thing. To get on the court, to become a judge, to become any judge, is a political act. Some politician has to appoint you, or some committee appointed by some politician has to appoint you, or the people have to vote you in. So it's to get on the court, and then to stay on the court is a political act. But then you have to put that aside, which is the weird thing about being a judge.
That's right.
And then you have to play ball like an umpire, and it is sort of like being an umpire. Politics may get you the job, but the best umpires aren't there for their team. You're there, calling balls as you see them, strikes as you see them.
That's what we do. Purdue and others suggested you were an activist judge.
Yes.
And that you were not interpreting this Constitution like you should be. I mean, that's the argument. Conservative right says activist judges like you make law as opposed to interpret the Constitution. Am I correct?
Well,
I mean, in
you
those
know,
arguments, those competing arguments.
those are the arguments. I tend to see, that word activist judge is a new modern word. And it really means that you haven't ruled my way. It's used, and it's used by both sides. It's used by liberals who are unhappy with activist conservative judges who are just trying to get their agenda. I mean, people say Clarence Thomas is an activist conservative ideologue.
And you say about it?
I don't say. I'm a judge, and so I don't comment on the stuff. I don't. Let's put it this way: I say to my husband late at night, but I don't come out and make public statements like that because judges don't make public statements like that. And then on the flip side, conservatives say that liberals are activists doing their thing, abortion, gun control, and it's, both sides do it. So it's both sides need to stop.
And being an umpire, as you said,
Yeah.
aren't you're buffeted by wins on both sides, are you not?
Yeah, it's going to be awfully difficult getting knocked down by both sides all the time. It can also be a wonderful challenge. It's a great adventure. It's a great job.
But given your own political leanings, whatever they might be, they don't ever come into play?
Yeah, well, this is how I explain that. I am who I am, okay? Like every other of the 6 other justices on the court, they are who they are. So I can't make a decision outside of who I am. Everything I look at is filtered through the fact that I'm a black woman, born in 1955, grew up in Germany, came to this country, my whole history. So that's not my political leanings, it's just who I am. And so I look at the law through that filter, just like you could look at the same thing I could look at, but the filter that you have will cause you to see it very differently than I do. And that's legit, and that's why there are 7 justices all sitting around saying, well, I see it like this, and I see it like this, and that's what we do every week. We sit around and decide whose view gets 4 votes. And the one who gets 4 votes is the one who wins.
That could be some heated discussion on that.
Very.
Very heated.
It could be heated. It could be, people get angry.
Political? Partisan?
No, they just get angry and insult people's, you didn't read this, it's not, we don't sit in there talking partisan politics. We sit in there, never, ever, 100% ever. In fact, some of the judges get very, like we have lunch once a week, and that's just lunch. And if somebody brings up during the last campaign, for example, McCain or Obama or Hillary Clinton, people change the subject. We do not go there. Now, our fights are about how can you read OCGA section such and such, which is the child molestation statute, to allow this guy to go free, when that's what we're talking about.
So really,
and the legislature didn't mean that. And then I'm saying, but that's what the legislature said. He's saying, but that's an absurdity. So it's much more intellectual. It's not, I want it to happen like that. We're working with the clay of the law.
You said at 36 it was quite a leap, quite a challenge.
It was.
Going to this court.
Yes.
Because of these sort of arguments? Because of the law? Because of...
Oh, no, it was because of who I was. Imagine coming in at 36 years old, black and female, to a court that has one other African American, Justice Robert Benham was there, a little older than I am, all male. And I mean, we didn't even have a female bathroom. Right before we go into court, the gentlemen would sometimes adjust their pants, and I guess forget I was there. Some of the lawyers would call me sir. I used to have a little short afro, but I never thought I'd look like a man. Did I?
No, believe me, you
Okay,
don't.
okay, but thank you. But, was odd. And I'm for years and years and years, it's an all-male bench, and then the last few years, an all-male and one black. And you can imagine I'm sitting there at the end. They put the junior justice at the end. I'm short, sitting down there, female, 36.
The little dot there.
Little dot. But, you know, I actually think the age came in handy because they were very good to me. They were very nurturing to me to a point where I could allow it. I mean, we can't be but so close because we have to go after each other.
You do. You have to go after each other.
Well, not...
You say that with a
I know. No, I don't mean it. Well, we have to be independent. We have to think independently. So I can't be so close to my colleague that I can go and say, hey, you know, what do you think we ought to do on this case? That's
Never outside counsel? You don't talk to your friends?
Never.
Lawyers you work with.
Never.
You worked in a law firm for years.
Never.
You have a lot of your friends, colleagues, are lawyers.
Yes.
You don't say, hey, what do you think?
Never.
Joe?
Never. That's unethical. I won't ask you. Won't ask my husband. Never.
Are you asked to do favors by lawyers you know?
No. Never. I have been penalized during campaigns when I've asked lawyers for donations, and they've said, but you didn't rule such and such a way. You didn't rule my way on a case, and I was like, but I was just being a judge. I wasn't trying to rule your way or that way, and that's I thought would think lawyers of everybody would understand that.
I find it so disconcerting. Here you are on the bench, the highest bench in the state. When you're doing a campaign, you have to go out and beg for money.
Well, yeah.
Be a politician, if you
right.
will, but can't say nothing about anything real.
Well, now you can. I don't, but because though I go by the old rules. But what are you going to say?
Right.
I mean, what are you going to say? I'm going to put everybody in jail. Right. What promises can you make other than that I'm going to follow the law and the case that's put before me, given the unique back circumstances of that case? What are you going to say? I saw this guy on TV, and when it gets up to my court, it's done. I can't. That's not how we move. You know, so I can't make promises.
Wasn't the governor trying to throw up against the wall against you? There was some pretty harsh charges, I recall, leveled by Governor Perdue trying to get you out of office.
Yes.
Could you recount some of those ones?
I'd really rather. You know, to me, that's all.
Why they were hurtful?
No, that's just the past. You know, it's just the past.
Why are you retiring? Why now? Are you moving on to greener pastures?
Well, again, I'm 53 years old. I have been on the court for 17 years. When I was put on the court, I was shocked. I was really surprised. I wasn't anticipating it. I never wanted to do this the rest of my life. There are other things other mountains to climb, other avenues to explore, and I want to do that before I get to be too old. And I also think courts like mine need constant replenishment. You know, I don't think you ought to just get in office and spend the rest of your life trying to just stay in office, because you get jaded and you're no good anymore.
But was a political campaigning too exacting for you? I mean, it seemed like it was kind of painful the last time. Is that something you're not going to miss?
No. Well, yes, it's painful. It's hard. You're trying to, am I getting out because I don't want to run campaigns anymore? No. I would expect that, you know, I don't like being pulled apart and, you know, all bad stuff to happen. But bad stuff's going to continue to happen in my life, just like it. I mean, I lost a brother 2 years ago, a tragic death. That was worse than any political campaign. So, I mean, I wouldn't stop because I wouldn't run a 9-month political campaign. Believe me, with all the things I've been through, I can run a political campaign. When I'll get through a political campaign. I'm not running from I would actually like to do some more things. I'm lined up to do some more things. Well, I am, I've signed up with a think tank in New York to do research and writing on the issue that I am, find the most passionate. I'm the most passionate about on marriage, fatherlessness, children. Got a good grant to do that. I'm going to teach a course at the University of Georgia Law School on contemporary evolving issues in family law. I'm really excited about that. And I'm going to probably be signing on with the law firm. And I think if there was one reason why I would be getting off the court is I want to speak louder. You know, a court, you can't say that much.
Gotcha.
And
It's not a bully pulpit. Huh?
it's not. It's not, except to the extent that I've taken it and made it a bully pulpit. And, you know, most justices and judges don't.
Particularly on these issues of family.
On these issues of family and even the civil justice stuff. So I want to be able to speak and be heard before I die.
What is it you want to say, young lady? What is it you want about this issue? Because you are passionate about it.
I really am. Well, I want to see our families. I even studied this when I was in undergraduate school, but I want to see our families intact again. I want to see our families strong again, because I don't think we're going to make it if we can't do better than what we're doing. We've got a 50% divorce rate. When I was born, 20% of all African American children were born out of wedlock. That's 1955. That number is 80% now. And, you know, this is 80% of our children are born, and children that are born out of wedlock, 1 out of 4 of them do not see their father in any 2-year period. So we've got to...
While that's tragic, I mean, tearfully so, how can you reverse that? I mean, even from your pulpit.
Well, listen, look, I didn't think from the time I was born I'd ever see a black president. I was playing that would never happen. And it did. You know, I remember when I was born, people were smoking. This thing would be all smoked up.
That's true.
Then that's changed. So I don't have this can't be changed. It is what it is, and it can't be reversed.
Well, I'm not suggesting that necessarily. Yeah. I'm saying it's really an uphill climb.
Yeah, it is an uphill climb. Hell, excuse me. Heck, I'm sorry. I've made uphill climbs before, and I intend to make this uphill climb. I'm going to go, and I'm going to work very, very hard to do what I can to try to make a dent in this bad issue. It's a bad issue.
Lecture,
cajole.
Women or men?
Both men, women, anybody who will listen. I'm going around the country doing this. I think a lot of it, people don't even talk about it anymore. It's a taboo subject.
There's a lot of abuse. Young lady talked to me. There's a lot of abuse at home. Male on women, women on men.
Right.
There's abuse, children abuse. I mean, there's so many issues in the family now that we didn't have when we were growing up.
Right.
You know? I heard arguments in my family, but you didn't hear the kind of...
That's right.
But the family stayed together.
That's right. But, you know, when we were growing up, domestic violence occurred a lot, but no one talked about it.
That's true.
Okay? No, it was just a man could just beat his wife. In the British system, the law was that a man could beat his wife with a stick no bigger than his thumb, and he'd be fine. That was written in the law of England and many states. So, you know, somebody decided that was no longer a good thing. So we have all these domestic violence things. At least most people now know if you beat your wife or beat your husband, that's assault and you can be arrested. Most people now know that. I don't think my parents' generation knew that at all. I think my mother thought that her husband could beat her.
When you speak of marriage...
And he did not beat her, I just want to say that. I want to make that. But I think they all thought that was just the province of what a man could do.
Well, I'm sad to say my father did.
Okay.
And that impacted me a lot. But they stayed together because then they was all both staying together. I said, Mom, why don't you leave this guy?
Well, did your mother think that was okay? Or?
No.
She knew better.
She knew better.
Okay.
She didn't think, she wasn't that docile.
Okay.
She said, I'm staying here for you.
Okay.
For the family. I said,
okay.
That wasn't doing us much good necessarily.
Right.
We earned it.
Yeah.
That's a whole other stuff.
Yeah.
Well, what do you say about marriage? What do you say to those you counsel, those you speak to, is the sanctity of marriage still intact? What do you say about gay marriages?
Oh, dear. Okay. I don't, let's start with just marriage as it is. I believe that marriage is the most pro-child institution we have. And it is, thank you, it provides resources for children. It provides stability for children. It provides, and I also believe, if at all possible, that children deserve to be reared by the two biological people that brought them into the world. And I think children need both their mothers and their fathers. And I believe pretty strongly that men are being marginalized, that men just don't count, and I think men are important in the lives of our daughters and our sons. That is not to say that nobody should ever get divorced. I don't want to go back to the dark. I got divorced. I had to get divorced. And so I understand that happens. But I think it's done too freely now. People too flippantly. I think too many people have children with people they have no intention of making a lifetime commitment to. And when that happens, I've been a judge for 27 years. It is rare that man, and it's typically the man who is not the marital partner, carries through on that financial or emotional commitment to the child. I mean, marriage has a way of gluing a family together. Now it's you can be a good father and all that, but it's very difficult when you're not there.
So it's basically, I mean, it's our fault. I mean, I think men have kind of let the.
Well, I think women. It's the fault of women too, who many women don't include men as part of their mating strategy anymore. They have I'll just have a baby. I don't need the guy. The guy is yeah. Not needed. Okay.
Except for that
no,
one.
You said that. I did not. Okay. Okay.
Well, where you sit on the bench in 27 years,
Yeah.
How has that impacted our world, our life, our societal ills?
Well, I started
Black America.
Yeah, and it's just America. It's just but not just Black America, but of course, Black America always gets hit harder. But when I started as a jurist, our domestic relations cases, divorce, child custody, and all that, were like 15 or 20%. By the time I became Chief Justice, and that was in the late 80s, by the time I became Chief Justice, our divorce rate of cases had gone up to 60% of our caseload. That is to say that I spent 60% of my time in court listening to divorce cases, listening to child custody cases, listening to legitimation cases, some of which never needed to get where they are. I mean, men who had fathered 3 children with 3 different people who were coming in with their $1,000 paycheck and couldn't really afford to pay child support for anybody.
And this is not Judge Judy. This is no
believe me. This is Judge Leah. And so it's really real. And it's heartbreaking. I mean, I had a guy who had 8 children with 8 different women. And he kept having more children and coming to court and wanting to pay less child support for the children he already had because he had to pay the children he kept having. Now, what do you do with somebody like that other than a bully pulpit to say stop? I mean, the law cannot fix something like that. What do you do for the children? What do you do for a woman who would want to have a child with a man?
And that's what you're going to across the country.
All this stuff. It's just a lot of it. That's what I want to do. Yes. I have a big job, don't I?
Yeah, you do, dear.
Yeah, it's bigger than I have now.
What about Judge Leah, though? Is that possible?
On TV?
Yeah.
No, I don't care for TV.
About this issue of No?
No, do you mean like go on TV
Yeah.
and
I mean,
like,
like some of your colleagues.
no. Well, they're not my colleagues. Those, they're entertainers. You know, judges on TV that's how I view it. You don't play around with people's lives. You know, it's not a joke. It's not entertainment. These are serious, serious problems when people come to court. And a lot of my colleagues bristle at we're like TV judges because we don't make fun of people. They're there with serious problems. And the audience never claps. I'm just kidding. I'm rarely clapped for. Okay.
Comedic, too.
So maybe I could join a comedy club.
Will there be something of a relief from all the pressure a little bit? I mean, to get up and do what you want to do, try and save marriages and sanctity of families, but, I mean, there must be a heavy burden to bear every day. Think about what's best for the state of Georgia and the law. Janarlo Wilson, some of these other cases you've dealt with, there's some heavy stuff.
Yeah, it is, but it's exhilarating. It's just like climbing a high mountain is tough, but you know, you got to do what you got to do. It's fun. It's the way I live. It's the way I have to live.
Let's talk about applause, though. There was a round of applause across the state amongst black folks, amongst good, right-thinking people when you released Janarlo Wilson. I mean, that was a great decision. And could you talk a bit about that? I mean, that was, to me,
That was tough.
when the law works.
Yeah, that was one of my toughest decisions. I had been in South Africa the 3 months, actually 2 months before when I was working on the case. We have an August break. And remember, he was released in October. And I couldn't sleep at night. I'd get up every day, and the times changed, and I'd run across. I was in Cape Town, and I would run across to an internet cafe and just type. Ideas.
About Janarlo Wilson.
About just, he'll never know the work that people went in. It's really difficult. This work. And then, and I don't, not to get too, then it's like the light bulb came on. I don't want to get too explicit on but a light bulb came on. Yeah, this is it.
What is it?
And I've always thought it was interesting that I was in South Africa,
right.
yeah, when that happened. So,
We have, do we have time for questions? I don't know if we do.
Sure.
We're going to take some questions from Tara, but I have to ask this while we line up. Anybody want to ask a question, please line up here with the beautiful
so I can see
Tara. Yeah.
guys, because it's hard to see.
Please come and ask a question.
Okay.
But while they're lining up,
Okay.
I must ask, you mentioned campaigning. Is there another office in your future?
Might be.
There
might be. Yeah, let me take this break. The day after the new chief is sworn in, I'm headed to Kenya, and I'm going to go on down to South Africa again. My son just got posted to Mauritius, which is an island off the coast of Madagascar. I want to go see him, go up to Dubai, come back around. I want to play. I need to clear my head. Then I'm going to come back and start on this family. I want to sink deep. I want to know more than what you can get sitting up in that office every day, listening to TV. You know, I really want to go out, feel, and then I'll
talk to people. Go to family.
Go to talk to people, feel things out. Like when the 6 weeks I was in South Africa, I went out to Robben Island. I made it out there. I didn't think I would. The boat, oh, goodness. I called back here saying, I'm going to drown.
On the way to Robben Island.
Yeah, just bouncing. But I made it out there, and I was followed around by a political prisoner who found out I was a judge, and he asked me some interesting questions. One was, do you guys really care? He had been an ex-prisoner at Robben Island, and he asked me, do you judges really care what you do to us when you take our lives? And we do. Most of us do, particularly these days.
Given the number of folks in jail, given America leads the world and the number of people in prison and all that, I mean, Does that mean, or does it become, well, you got to go to jail? I mean,
You know, let me just say this. For me, on the whole, I care. Some people, they got to go to jail. I mean, and you can't, you know, they just got to. So, and I care enough to send them to jail, but without internalizing. But every time we do an execution, I wait. I come home, my trooper drives me home, and I click off every 5 minutes until 7 o'clock. You know, it's very difficult. You can't sleep. You get up. The court is quiet. It's not a carnival. It's not a carnival act. We aren't entertainers.
It's real.
It's real. It's
life
tough.
and death.
Yeah, and we do care enough. And but not all judges are great, you know. But,
well, we know
but I know. But I think more that we've got a better system.
What has
than
made you great?
Well, you're not. What do you think?
Humanity.
No, thank you. Thank you. Because I don't know. I love my job. I care. I do care about my job. I love
Your
it.
principles.
Thank you.
One of the greatest things happened is seeing you being sworn in. I mean, that's
Really?
come a lot of stories.
Really.
I was sitting on the floor watching it.
Now, what were you thinking? I was thinking
You were-
Andy Young on one
you were
end and
my-
Clarence
you were my
Thomas.
Obama.
Really?
At that time. See, a black woman, Chief Justice of Georgia Supreme Court?
Yeah. But you know, I was saying that too. Me, I was. Wow. You know. And then the other flip side was you've got to do what you got to do, and I just didn't want to embarrass us. I just could not embarrass.
You look too good embarrassed.
Oh.
Tara.
All right, Maynard, before we take the first question, I want to say what I think has made you great is that you've shown us that a woman, especially a black woman, can be powerful, intelligent, beautiful, and compassionate,
Thank
and
you.
not lose herself.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hi, Justice Sanders. My name is Sanjeev, and actually I listened something in September about you leaving Georgia and going to Maryland in a university. And this time in March I was in Washington D.C. I was all over in all the universities in Maryland, and George Washington almost got arrested. Anyway, my name is Sanjeev, and I have a observation. First of all, most of the laws are written. And,
We need a question, please.
yeah, the question is that what do you think, again, that we could do in the legal system, just like you're very passionate about marriage and law, and 4 years ago I listened to you in DeKalb Chamber, same thing you're telling right now. So, a situation, we have a couple and a small child, right? The couple are not getting together, and the small child is innocent, right? What I find is whatever the law is written and the way it is implemented is always an innocent person is victimized, okay? So that's why my question is how it can be solved, and I am really looking for a discussion, an ongoing discussion about some of the ways I'm trying to create a land. It's called American U.S. land. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the question is,
I'm not sure, Judge.
Okay.
Well,
no, come.
please, come on.
Yeah, come up. Can you come up?
So you can see. She want to come up so she can see you.
So I can see, because,
No, really.
okay. Yeah, I'm just having trouble with your accent, to understanding. Could you break the question down?
I said that most laws are written and implemented in a way that is a innocent person is victimized, okay, no matter what, okay. It can be you are punishing a person who committed a crime, the person as a child, okay. In a situation, there is a couple and they have a small child, okay. Right. The couple are not getting together, okay. Now, whatever the laws, the way it is written, is implemented, there is always an innocent person that is victimized, okay. So that's what I would like to. So what is the solution that you think? In this situation, the couple are not getting together, and there is a small child, a few months old. What can be done if there is no victim?
Okay.
So there's no victim.
I got it. Thank you so much. So it's a couple. They have a small child. They're not getting together. And so what could be done to make sure that nobody is victimized? I just don't think that's possible. You know, I think somebody's going to be victimized. So I think, and the law cannot solve this problem That's why I'm getting off the bench, because people can solve this problem. It's, the law can't solve every problem. At some point, people have to get the right people, stick together through some rough times, and make sure that they do the right thing for their
So
children.
counseling really is the
Okay.
answer? You believe in counseling?
Counseling?
You think people can get through the
Yeah, I think they can.
infidelity, so-called?
No, I don't think you can get through any bad scene in a divorce. I think we should try, and then sometimes you have to let it go. I think more could be saved than we do. Georgia has the shortest waiting period in the state. In all the 50 states, you can get a divorce in Georgia in 30 days.
One day I got married, I got divorced and married the same day.
Did you really?
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. I couldn't believe it.
Well, no, but there's a 30-day waiting period. How did you do that? Not in Georgia. You're just kidding. Okay. I was going to say, we got that. Okay. 4 times?
No.
She's just saying.
Give us a sense, though. You mentioned elections. You said you want to travel when you leave. But is there a future political office in your life? I mean, there's another question I want to ask, but are you going to run for another office? Could you run for governor? Would you want to run for governor? State Senate? A U.S. Senate?
Not right now, but I'm not saying no to anything. Nothing. Except, thief. Or I'm trying to not do. But no, I'm not closing the door on anything right now. I'll see what I feel like doing later.
What do you think you'd like? What do you see?
Right now, I'm
You saw
going to,
yourself on the bench. You saw yourself as a chief.
and so I did that. Now I see myself doing this think tank thing and teaching this course. And I would suspect in the process of this year of sort of my sabbatical and seeing where I'll come up with another idea.
But
And
this
you
will
will
be a
be the
nas-
first to know. I'm going to get your email and call you.
So this will be a national profile, this think tank.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes, I'm going
you're
big
going to
time.
be the Oprah of
Yes,
family.
Oprah of family. Family Oprah, or so, yeah.
One more question.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm glad to see this forum set up by Maynard. Thank you very much.
Yes.
And Leah, it's so good to see you again. And I was glad to get an invitation to your investiture. It was a highlight of my life.
Thank you. Thanks for
yes,
coming.
yes, I do have a question.
No, but
Okay. I've been reading news reports from across the country that are stating the United States has more people in prison than any other country in the world.
Right.
And after having a conversation with Congressman Hank Johnson about the application of the 13th Amendment, and there seems to be a big flaw to it, because after reading it, I said, well, how could this be? If it's supposed to end slavery and it does not, why hasn't someone addressed it?
okay. So you're suggesting the prison, in effect, is a slavery system.
Well, basically, that's what the 13th Amendment says after reading it.
It says that there shall be no slavery.
Except for persons duly convicted.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, if people are duly convicted, that means that they are.
Okay. Even people duly convicted can't be slaves. There can be no slavery. That's why prisoners have rights. I mean, in prisoners, I get lots of prison suits all the time. That you can't make prisoners do anything you want them to do.
True, that is true.
I mean, I've been wondering,
They can't vote.
why they can't get some fresh air, kind of do some of the community service work that we need in the
Exactly.
community,
But now, somebody, an activist, if you will, talking about prison reform, is a great professor, oh Lord, I forgot her name, but she's an activist, Angela Davis.
Yes,
Talks about prison reform to this day.
yes.
But prisons seem to be getting worse. Just warehousing as opposed to actual reform. We have the most recidivism. We have the highest rates of blacks in jail. I mean, 1 out of 10, 1 out of 23 black men are in jail.
Yeah.
On the prison system.
I think it's more than that.
More than that.
Yeah,
You know the figure.
Yeah.
I'm saying, but it's sad.
Yes,
It's
it
troubling.
is.
And you talk about marriage and family. Many black men are in jail.
Well, not only are many black men in jail, but most of the black men, or many black men who are in jail, of course, come from 80% of the black men in jail come from single family, mothers only kind of type situations. So it's a circle, and then they're not available to create marriages and families and all of that. So it's a big cycle. Yes, we've got prison reform is needed. Judges, that's kind of criminology, penology. Judges don't really reform prisons. But we know we've got a problem. I know we have a problem.
Can I ask you a question
Yes.
about a case that you didn't rule on, but it certainly was national news and was probably a local thing?
Sure, I'll tell you if I can.
Michael Vick. To me, now, I like pets, and my partner owns pets, but that seems like a harsh sentence for a guy about a dog. I mean, while we eat meat, we hunt animals. I mean,
No,
I'm not saying it was right,
Yeah.
but it seemed like it was an awfully tough sentence for a guy who was doing what a lot of other folks do.
Yeah, I don't think it was just a guy and his dog. Okay, so you're
Okay, well, hey.
Okay.
Maybe it's my middle of the road leanings. Okay.
It sounds real manic, but but my opinion is it seems harsh, but it wasn't about just a guy and his dog.
No, he was.
It wasn't Lassie.
It wasn't Lassie.
Okay.
I'm not suggesting that.
And I try to be a little careful about wading in on these things because we're just reading the newspaper. I know how people see my cases, but they're not really in my cases. They don't really know the nuances, the facts, what went here, what went there. And I don't make judgments based on what I see on CNN.
What does a Chief Justice do? What difference does it make you being a Chief Justice as opposed to just being a justice?
The Chief Justice handles all the administrative work. Chief Justice comes out to things like this, plus, we represent the court. We make the decisions administratively for the court. We are the court's representative.
I said at the top of this show, and you made history, the first and youngest on the on the Georgia Supreme Court. Are we likely to see the first black woman, you being the first black woman on the U.S. Supreme Court? Is that where you're headed? Will you be a U.S. Supreme Court member?
Oh, that's up to other people. That's not up to me.
No, I'm not.
But if it were up to me, I would appoint myself.
Have you been vetted for that? Is there a conversation about that?
There's not a vacancy. Nobody's being vetted. You don't vet for no vacancies. Okay.
But there's been no discussion about that at all?
No, it's inappropriate to discuss. I've been on some lists, but these are lists put together by, media people who think, that these are the people. But other than that, there's no activity.
Is that a job? You said there possibly be a future office in your life, elective office, or
It's appointed.
I know that.
Yeah.
I'm saying, would that be the preference? Would that be the preferred office to be a Supreme Court justice?
I might be interested in that, but there are other offices I might be interested in as well. No, I don't mean to be vague. I just want to be honest. There are.
Such as?
Well, I would be interested in being the head mistress of a school like Oprah Winfrey's Academy in South Africa, or even here in the inner city, where poor children, I don't have a dime to do that, but I would think that would be a very interesting job to have. I can think of a dozen things I would love to do that I think would make a difference in the thing I want to do the most is be of service and to continue being relevant in some way.
Well, you are relevant. You're inspiring. You're uplifting.
Thank you.
It's been a pure pleasure to be in your company.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed this.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the Chief Justice.
Thank you. Thank you.
There has been really a time at Newswakers when I've seen Maynard run out of questions. She got him. The fact that this woman wants to lead to bring about meaningful change is significant for African Americans. specifically dealing with the issue of family. I've never heard anyone quite articulate the fact that families, holding families together, impacts children and creates a better citizen, better than she does. I'd like to thank her for coming here. We're going to miss her at the Supreme Court, and we hope she finds her way into other responsible positions that influence African American lives. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Newsmakers.